Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm talking to you about episode 3 of Lower Decks entitled Temporal Edict. This was a fun episode. We had a and a B story going on with Ransom and the crew down on the planet. We had chaos going on up on the ship. And this episode was very nicely based on that time-honoured Starfleet tradition, particularly started off by Scotty on the original Enterprise of being a miracle worker where you ridiculously overestimate the amount of time it's going to take you to get a job done. So when you do get that job done ahead of time, you're branded a miracle worker. So this episode put a nice spin on that time-honoured Starfleet engineering tradition started by Scotty. So let's take a look at the episode. So the episode starts in the bar of the Cerritos, where Boimler is performing a somewhat boring number on his violin to the displeasure of the observing crew members. And then Mariner muscles in with her guitar and lays some heavy death metal on them, which happens to disrupt the negotiations the captain's got going on with a nearby Klingon vessel. Shax goes in and destroys Boimler's violin, thinking he's the culprit. So one thing I think this episode brings to us that we haven't had in the first two episodes is a bit more screen time from our primary crew members, our first officer and the captain. They definitely get more screen time in this episode, so we sort of get to see a bit more on the bridge. We've got a bit more stuff going on with Lieutenant Shax, the tactical security chief as well. This episode seems to be split a lot more down the middle between our lower deckers and our principal primary crew members. So originally they're meant to be off to a diplomatic summit on Cardassia, but instead the Cerritos is turned around to go and deliver some trinkets to a new Federation race, which the captain's not too pleased about, because she kind of wants them to be on the front lines a bit more, given a bit more respect in the Federation, but the ship is kind of denigrated to the more menial tasks within the Federation, and she's not too happy because of it. And before long, we learn about the time-honoured Starfleet engineering tradition of buffer time, which is the old thing that Scotty came up with, which is you overestimate how long it's going to take you to do a task, so that when you get it done early, you're deemed a miracle worker and have a bit of maybe free time on your hands. So it seems like this tactic is very well known amongst all Starfleet officers and employed with great effect by the lower deckers. And seeing as how the captain isn't particularly happy about getting bumped off the prime jobs, she's on the warpath to try to make the ship more efficient. And this is when the notion of buffer time comes her way, and she's not particularly happy about everyone kind of hanging around in the bar and maybe not looking as efficient as they should be. Now, I love the little scene here with Boimler in the turbo lift, and he's humming away to himself the Next Generation theme. So he's there going it was a funny scene. So before long in the turbo lift, Boimler has managed to spill the notion of buffer time to the captain, and suddenly it's on for young and old over the ship, where buffer time has been revoked and everybody must go from task to task to task without any kind of break in between to maintain the maximum efficiency on board the ship. And next we get to the B story of the episode, which is Ransom and Mariner and some other crew members shuttling down to this planet to deliver this gift to the locals that the whole society is wrapped up in crystals, and they worship crystals and all this sort of stuff. But unfortunately our Bolian friend here hasn't brought the right case, and he opens it and reveals a log of wood, which apparently is a huge insult because their enemies worship wood and they worship crystals and so forth. So it starts a massive war, and our crew members get captured. So we've got Ransom and Mariner and co down on the planet, ready to fight it out in mortal combat to save their other crew members. And we've got all the crew up on the ship going crazy, trying to complete their various different engineering and science and medical kind of tasks in record time, whilst being boarded and invaded by the invading force. So the captain is so wound up with her notion of efficiency and getting the ship as well ship shape as it possibly can, that she's neglecting the fact that they're being invaded by the Galrakians. But it takes Boimler to have a bit of a chat to her and say, hey, we just got to chill out a bit here. We need to just bring back buffer time. Everybody can complete their tasks in an orderly manner, and the ship will be all cool again. Meanwhile, down on the planet, Ransom and Mariner are fighting it out as to who gets to take on the big Vindor, the giant warrior, in a scene that's sort of a bit reminiscent, I guess, of Thor Ragnarok, where Thor takes on Hulk in that big arena situation. Kind of reminds me a little bit about that. And Ransom resorts to unethical maneuvers to get the job by stabbing Mariner in the foot with a sword so that she can't fight, so he can take on the enemy combatant himself. So the aliens are repelled from the ship, and Ransom wins the fight against Vindor, and the lower deckers are left to clean up a lot of graffiti off the hull. I laughed out loud during the little scene between Dr. T'Ana and Mariner when she was sort of saying, do you want me to get rid of all your scars from all your previous battles? And Mariner said, no, leave them there, my sort of, badges of honor or whatever. And the comment about, congratulations, you look like a effing scratching post. So that was a funny line. So I think I detected at the end of this episode when Mariner and Ransom were talking in sickbay, there's maybe a little bit of chemistry here going on. There was a few references back and forth during the battle sequence where they were kind of admiring each other a little bit. So I'm wondering whether there might be a little bit of romance ahead in the future between these two characters. But then at the end of the episode, Ransom throws her in the brig anyway for not rolling down her sleeves when he asked her to earlier in the episode. So he off to the brig with Mariner. So there's a bit of a love-hate thing going on there. And Boimler gets his own effect. They've mandated an order whereby buffer time is now authorised, and you can kind of build in whatever time you need to build in to get a job done, to just, I guess, relax the crew and just make sure that the rules are followed, but not quite so strenuously. And Boimler's not too keen about this rule being named after him, because he's all about efficiency and getting as much work done as he possibly can. So it's a bit contrary to his beliefs to have an effect named after him that basically mandates the relaxing of rules. And in the end, the episode flashes forward to a very far future scene where they're talking about the Boimler effect and how it was named after the laziest corner cutting officer, which is in contrary to obviously Boimler, how he thinks of himself. And also a reference there to a very important Starfleet officer apparently Miles O'Brien is. So for some reason, O'Brien gets a mention at the end of this episode as a very important Starfleet personnel. I enjoyed this episode I reckon this episode was about on par with last week's episode. We had an interesting A story, an interesting B story, with the stuff going on the planet, with Ransom and Mariner, and the stuff going up on the ship, with all the crazy scheduling and invasion by the unveiling graffitiizing hordes there, with the crystal spears. Again, much like last week's episode, not as many kind of laugh out loud funny moments. There was a couple of laugh out loud jokes there that had me laughing, but yeah, look, I'm enjoying the show just as a kind of a homage to Next Generation, as a piece of entertainment. If the episodes make me laugh, that's cool. If they don't, they're just an interesting story set in the Star Trek universe, that's good too. So what did you guys think of this episode? Did you find it funny? Did you like the story? Did you like the A story and the B story that was going on the ship, on the planet? And what do you think might be coming up in future episodes? Did you sense some chemistry there perhaps between Mariner and Ransom? Do you think that's a thing, or is that not a thing? I don't know. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please guys, as always, don't forget to subscribe, to share, to like, and check out my merchandise, Patreon page, all that sort of stuff. Links in the description below, and I'll see you next time.